What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. So I want to talk about the narcissist Jekyll and Hyde split personality and how I was able to just sit back today and witness how their character just switched from being one way to another with another person. And of course, this happened in the workplace. It all started because the narcissist confronted this person, and it was like the narc was trying to put on an act, because they always need to be the center of attention. They always need to prove themselves to be right or something. And in the midst of that, they also, this is when they really, really show this horrible side of them and how they treat people. So they confronted another coworker about using their supplies and saying things like, "You always using my stuff and you keep yours all new and clean and shiny. You never touch yours. I never touch your stuff, but you always go for mines." And the person was like, "Well, I apologize. I won't mess with it anymore. It's just that yours are always right there. It's convenient. Everybody uses it." And it's like the narcissist, they had a point and they should have just accepted an apology and left it alone. But instead, it's like they wanted to put on an act to prove a point to me that this person is horrible. And it's like, you're really overdoing it, trying to convince me that this person is a horrible person for doing something that I'm pretty sure been going on before I got there. The person, they express like how fake the narcissist is and where is this coming from? You're not always like this. Why all in a sudden, since Felicia is here, is such a huge problem? I mean, we always do this. So in that moment, it's like the person called the narcissist out and confronted them on their true behavior when I'm not there. But the narc got mad about that and they just went into a full-fledged rage. And I was like, okay, calm down, calm down. Like, I noticed how the person was able to handle it so good and just disengage and not give a back and forth with the narc. But they told the narc in a settled tone, and they were stern with the narc, and they let them know, "Look, I told you, I'm not going to touch your stuff again. I'll use my own. Okay, I apologize for that," and that's that. But the narc cut them off in the middle of talking because they didn't want them to have the last word, and they were like, "Oh, I don't want to hear it. Oh, don't talk to me." And I'm like, that was rude. It's like, first you had a problem with something and I can see your point, but then you ruined it because now it's like you just want the person to constantly over explain themselves and apologize for you for something so petty. Like, it's over with. Like, just go ahead and dead the situation. So what made me notice the whole Jekyll and Hyde thing is like moments later, they just started to have a conversation with the person like if none of that had just took place. And that's one thing I notice about people. Like, you can't just go from, having a blowout with someone and nothing is solved. Nothing is settled. And you just go your separate ways and calm down. But nobody apologizes. It's just going to end up happening again. I don't like stuff like that. Like, that don't sit well with me because to me, it kind of invites, that same old thing to happen again if we don't never come to a resolution. So, but of course, that's how narcissists operate. So they went from, coming to work mad and pointing out something that the person made clear that you never had a problem with this before. Why are you, you got up? And they was like, and I understood that this was just this person's narcissism showing in that moment because, they were telling a narc like, "What's wrong with you? Did you get up on the wrong side of the bed? What's wrong?" That's how I know that it's not always like that. And the person is pretty much like a people pleaser. At the same time, they don't give the narc what they want. And they weren't used to that. They weren't expecting that moment to happen. And I felt sorry for her. But at the same time, she was able to handle herself. She held her own and she was able, again, to disengage from the conversation and not go back and forth. Well, when the narc came back to her, she just started to talk to her about work like if nothing had happened. So she was like super nice in that moment. And then the next minute she started with her again. I'm like, now you just bullying. Now you just picking with her. Because a minute ago, it was all love and you was all back in her face like nothing had happened. And then she get very loud. And that's something that I always notice. And I've mentioned this to y'all before, how narcissists, they get very loud and their tone changes. They go from talking all soft and fake and everything and innocent because they know that's going to draw a certain type of attention to them. So, when they get mad and they can't have their way, or when you don't give them the response that they were expecting, they speak in a different tone. And I always laugh at that. Like, I always find that funny. And then I'd seen that, today with the narc, when she went from being mad and then, just being so nice to the person, like nothing had just happened, never apologized to her. Because I'm telling you, even after that person had apologized, she went in and she wouldn't let go. And it wasn't even that serious. Like, you were really, taking your anger out on this person for something that it didn't have nothing to do with what you had originally confronted her about. So what's the real problem? What's really going on here? So it went from that to nice, mean, nice, and just being real cruel to her. And that went on throughout the whole day. And I noticed that the bickering turned into bullying. She was bickering and the person wasn't paying it any mind. She didn't respond to it. She ignored it. And we know they can't handle being ignored. So she kept picking and picking and picking. So when she couldn't get a response out of her, she put me in it. And she called my name out and said, you noticed something about, and just kind of like pointing her out, putting her in the spotlight. You notice something about her? Let me tell you something about this person. She comes to work and she do this. And I was like, stop. I just said stop. Like, I had enough of it, because it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you treating her like this? And I know you don't always act like this. You putting on the show because I'm here today. And, like, people have feelings, and I can tell that it started to get to the other person. So what she did was just like walk away. And she went and sat in the break room and stuff like that just to calm herself down. She had also called her husband, and they speak another language. But I did hear her say evil. I heard her say evil. And then he was like, they was praying together over the phone. So I guess her husband was just saying, like, you just got to pray, and I'm going to pray for you. And, let's just pray before you go back to work. It's like that person, they knew what their wife was going through in that moment. They can tell that, she was feeling stressed out and just aggravated and couldn't really focus, and she needed to take a break. But I was like, chill out. Like, why are you doing all this? Like, stop. Why are you doing this? I'm not interested in this person. You're trying to, paint this picture of a horrible person, because I see for myself that by me being here with her, I don't have that problem with her. So why are you trying to convince me that she is this horrible person to work with? And just like she had mentioned, you weren't doing all this the other day. Like, why are you doing this today? It just came out of nowhere. And, that made me see them as, the narc in that moment, like with the split personality. It's just something that, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Because, of course, we know the narcissist of, expressing narcissistic rage at times. But you don't really know if that's the Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. So, I don't know. I'm still learning this myself. I don't really know, but I kind of think that's what it was, because I kept seeing them going from being one way to another. And they kept targeting just this one person. And then they would walk away and they wouldn't leave it alone. They would come back to it. And she kept just like picking at her and bullying her. And I'm like, ugh, they just got this thing about them, like very, very evil side of them. And it don't sit well with me. I hate to be in the same environment with people like that. And they have the nerve to try to point out other people's faults to make them look like horrible people, and to try to get you to admit to, yeah, I see what you're saying. But I'm like, you are wasting your time trying to get me to say bad things about this person, because I don't see them for being that way. So it's no need for you to keep trying to tell me how they are. And a person is like, no, I'm not. Like, you're lying. And why are you doing this? And stuff like that. That's why I'm like, yeah, you're the problem. It's something wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. And to get so mad. And it's like they make themselves so mad till they almost foam at the mouth. Their eyes get like bloodshot red. Like, just look evil. Just something that, I'm not comfortable being around it. So that's just something I want to point out really quick about the narcissist personality, split personality, the whole Jekyll and Hyde thing, going from being nice to me, nice to me, nice to me. So thank y'all for watching. Leave your thoughts down below. Talk to you soon.